Welcome back. Tensions rising in Washington. House Speaker Mike Johnson sending the chamber home early this week as floor activity reaches a standstill over the Save America fight. The Save America Act. Speaker Johnson now considering a third reconciliation package to get the Save America Act across the finish line. But other Republicans, particularly in the Senate, are questioning whether a third package is even possible, given tight timing. Senate Majority Leader John Thune told me he doesn't have the votes, and he continues to say that. But Senator Cynthia Lummis joined me this week and had a different tone. Watch this.
If the president wants to talk about the Save America Act, he's aware, because of Senator Thune's remarks, that we don't have the votes to pass the full spectrum of ideas that fall under the Save America Act. But we probably do have the votes to get certain portions of it passed. So we need to smartly break up Save America Act and get those components that we can get passed that will make a difference enacted.
So what would make a big difference? I mean, would you expect that having ID to vote and proving your citizenship will fly going into the midterms? Do you think you could pass something like that?
Yes, I think that we could pass something like that.
Joining me now is Oklahoma Congressman Tom Cole. He is also the chairman of the House Appropriations Committee. Mr. Chairman, great to have you this morning. Thanks very much for being here.
Great to be with you.
And let me start right there on the Save America Act. Do you believe that it's possible Save America Act could pass the Senate in a third reconciliation package?
Well, I certainly hope we can put as much of it as we can there. Obviously, we've passed it multiple times in the House. We're very much for it. And frankly, our Republican colleagues are for it. This is really a problem with a filibuster, and that's a decision of the Senate. Look, you put the Democrats in a position to block anything they choose to block. So that makes it difficult. But look, I'm all for pushing this every way we can. The one exception I'd make, we should never shut down the House to try and impact what's going to happen in the Senate. That's like cutting off your nose to spite your face. It just doesn't make any sense. So I'm glad that got worked through by the Speaker and the President yesterday.
Yeah. So what happened? What happened this week?
Well, basically, to move major legislation, we had two appropriations bills that were scheduled to go to the floor this week. We're way ahead of the Senate in the approach process. We have to be able to pass a rule because we're not going to get any Democratic support. That means you can pass it with a simple majority, and our majority is narrow as it is. We certainly can't get to 2/3. And some of our members, to try and impact what the Senate's doing, which is a laudable goal in itself, decided they would shut down our chamber. That just doesn't make any sense. The best way to put pressure on the Senate is to actually pass things. It's not to throw a temper tantrum and keep our own legislation from moving. And so the president, weighed in on the Speaker's side on that. I think that'll make a difference to the individuals involved, and we'll go on from there. But again, it's just short-sighted. We should always keep control of the House floor while we have the majority and keep things moving. We shouldn't be gumming up the works.
Understood. So what's the problem in the Senate, Congressman? I mean, are there just people there who don't want the president's agenda passed?
Absolutely. They're called the Democratic Caucus. Look, they are against anything the president is for. That's the problem. We have the support of our own members over there. They're doing their best they can. But again, they have this is a self-inflicted problem or issue, whatever you want to say. They have the filibuster. And so they have to get to 60. They have to get 7 Democrats in addition to all the Republicans, and they don't always get all the Republicans. So, again, that's sort of like empowering the opposition, but it's something the Senate feels strongly about. But it impacts things over here. It leads to frustration over on this side when we're passing something that we know is enormously popular with the American people. This isn't a partisan issue at all amongst the public. It is on Capitol Hill because it's a way for the Democrats to frustrate the president and to slow up our agenda. And again, I'm sorry we're in that boat. But as long as we have the filibuster, we're going to give that power to the minority party.
Well, let's talk about your plans, because you're the chairman of the House Appropriations Committee, and it's advanced the 12th and final appropriations out of committee this week, the $1.1 trillion defense funding bill for fiscal year 2027. That bill will reverse what has been described as a chronic underinvestment in the department and approves a record high budget for the Pentagon. Tell us about this bill. Do you think it is going to pass? I know the president was looking for $1.5 trillion.
Yeah, well, the president is looking $1.5 trillion in 3 different tranches of money. The biggest one by far is this, which is the base appropriations bill. I do believe we can pass it through the House. Again, we'll run into the same problem in the Senate with the filibuster, and then we'll end up negotiating a final deal. But this legislation is moving. All 12 bills are out of the House Appropriations Committee in record time. So far, the Senate hasn't passed a single bill out of committee. And again, that's not due to the Republicans. That's due to deliberate obstruction by the Democrats. But we're good there. The next tranche of money would be the supplemental, which would defray the cost of the military exercise or conflict with Iran. And then finally, the president has asked for $350 billion in reconciliation point 3, which I certainly am supportive of. That's going to be a trickier bill, but it'll be a straight partisan exercise. Again, the Senate seems a little bit less enthusiastic about it than we are in the House, but the Speaker and our leadership are working on that. They've passed 2 reconciliation bills so far very successfully and against all the odds. So I have high confidence that they can put together the right kind of package, and we'll assemble around that and get it done.
Well, I guess government is now funded until the end of September, and I think maybe that was by design as well for the Democrats. I mean, there are concerns growing that the government will shut down again for a 3rd time.
There's certainly a risk of that. I think personally they would be foolish to do that 5 weeks before an election. That's a high-risk event. They always count on us getting the blame, even though this last year the 2 longest shutdowns in American history occurred because of the Democrats. First, the big shutdown last year of the entire federal government, then the partial shutdown of DHS, Department of Homeland Security, this year, which, of course, we had to use reconciliation. We had passed the bills. We had majority support in both chambers, but this is another instance where the filibuster was used to thwart us, and in an unprecedented way. Filibuster is never used for routine funding, and frankly, the Senate Democrats had agreed to the measures in the bills and then decided they were going to throw a temper tantrum, and frankly, we let them get away with it. But in the end, we got the Border Patrol and got ICE funded. Right thing to do. We're going to be in a position to move. It's really going to be up to the Senate at the end of this period, because again, we have the bills out. We're moving them across the floor.
Right. I mean, you've got all 12 spending bills need to pass both the House and Senate, but we spoke with Senator Rick Scott from Florida this week, and he raised these concerns. Watch this.
The Democrats are going to shut down government October 1. We have to, whether we fund it through reconciliation or through a continuing resolution, remember, everything will get shut down again. This will be the 4th time in 2 years by the Democrats. So we've got to figure out how to fund the government, like just how do we fund ICE and CBP through reconciliation. So we were going to have to do something. Our government will be shut down because the Democrats think it's good, it's in their best interest to win in November.
So you think we're seeing another government shutdown on the horizon before the midterms then?
Absolutely. October 1, government will shut down unless the Republicans, we come together and fund government through a continuing resolution, through reconciliation, something, and we need to get started on it now.
Mr. Chairman, your reaction?
Totally agree with Senator Scott, and certainly agree with him. He's been one of the leading critics of the filibuster inside the Senate itself. And look, I don't have a vote on that, so I don't take a side on it in a sense, but I certainly share his opinion. And the risk is there. I think the Democrats would be foolish to do it, but they have been reckless in their opposition to this president ever since he was inaugurated. I mean, it's been unremitting opposition. If the president's for it, they're against it. So there's a high risk that will happen unless we can do exactly what Senator Scott suggests.
Unbelievable. All right, Mr. Chairman, we'll be watching your work on that. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Maria.
Congressman Tom Cole. After the break, my interview with Qualcomm CEO and President Cristiano Amon on the memory chip crunch, soaring prices, the latest deals, and the data center build-out. Stay with us. That's next.